If you are using Siri on your iPhone, there are some important settings you really need to check before you start relying on it. Because by default, Siri is not always set up in the best way for privacy, battery life, or even how accurate and useful it feels. Most people just turn it on and leave everything as it is. But if you take a couple of minutes to adjust these settings, your experience will be much better. So first, open Settings, then go to Siri. Right here at the top, the first thing you'll see is the option to listen for Hey Siri or Talk to Siri, depending on your iPhone. This is what allows you to activate Siri with your voice without touching your phone. Now, this is very useful, especially when your hands are busy or when you are driving. But at the same time, your iPhone is always listening in the background, waiting for that trigger phrase. Apple processes this securely, but it still uses a bit of battery, and some people simply don't like the idea of that. So if you don't actually use voice activation that much, it's better to turn this off. And if you do use it, keep it on. But make sure you set it up properly so Siri recognizes your voice correctly. Right under that, you'll find the option to press the side button for Siri. This one is very important. And honestly, I recommend keeping it enabled for almost everyone. It gives you a reliable way to activate Siri manually, especially if voice activation doesn't work or you are in a noisy environment. Think of it as your backup method. Next, you'll see the option to allow Siri when locked. This one depends on how much you care about privacy. If this is turned on, Siri can respond even when your iPhone is locked, which means someone could potentially ask Siri to read messages, check reminders, or access certain information without unlocking your phone. For some people, that convenience is worth it. But if you want better privacy, it's a good idea to turn this off so Siri only works after Face ID or your passcode. Now, staying in the same Siri settings page, scroll down a bit and you'll start seeing Siri Suggestions. This is where your iPhone tries to learn how you use your device and suggest apps, actions, or shortcuts based on your behavior. You'll see options like showing suggestions on the lock screen, home screen, search, and when sharing. These can be helpful, but they can also feel a bit intrusive or unnecessary. If you want a cleaner and more private experience, you can turn some of these off, especially suggestions on the lock screen. As you keep scrolling, you'll see a list of all your apps, and this is something most people completely ignore. Siri actually works with each app individually, and you can control what Siri is allowed to do with each one. When you tap on any app, you'll see options like learning from that app, showing it in search, or suggesting it. If you have apps with sensitive information like banking or private conversations, it is a good idea to disable Siri for those specific apps. This gives you much better control instead of just turning everything on or off. Now go back up a little inside the same Siri settings and find the section for Siri responses. This controls how Siri talks back to you. You can choose whether Siri always speaks or only responds when your phone is not on silent. If you turn on spoken responses all the time, Siri will talk even in quiet places, which might not always be ideal. So it really depends on how you use your iPhone. If you use Siri a lot while driving, spoken responses are useful. If not, you might prefer to keep things quieter. Also, in these settings, you can find Siri and dictation history. This is where Apple stores some of your interactions with Siri to improve performance. If privacy is important to you, you can come here anytime and delete your history. It's a simple step, but it gives you more control over your data. And one more thing that's worth adjusting, especially if Siri keeps activating when you don't want it to. If you notice Siri turning on by accident while you're talking or watching videos, the best thing you can do is go back to the top and disable the voice activation and just keep the side button option enabled. This way, you completely stop those accidental triggers while still keeping Siri available when you actually need it. So, before you start using Siri every day, don't just leave everything on by default. Take a minute, go through these settings, and adjust them based on what matters most to you, whether that is privacy, battery life, or just having a smoother experience. And if this video helped you, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends who use iPhone, and subscribe to the channel for more simple tips like this.